5 seconds, to me it's a hollow gesture. But I do want to also address one other thing that I found rather interesting. The butthurt that people gave Last Jedi over Luke dying as he did. People were like, no, they wanted the whole, like, he just immediately grabs his lightsabers and comes double-barreling it in and kills all the bad guys like a badass and saves them for them. In The Last Jedi, he Force ghosts himself across the universe and holds off Kylo Ren and company long enough for this last guttering pocket of the rebellion to escape to fight another day. His task is now done. His function in the story is done, and it's this, I thought, a very hauntingly poetic moment. You know, he's used the last of his life, and he's ready to just let go when he disappears Yoda style, and he's dead. And everybody was just like, you can't kill off a major character, like, oh my god, I'm butthurt. And so we get to the Rise of Skywalker. Guess who does exactly the same thing? That would be Princess Leia. Yet another beloved, iconic character from the original movies. In this one, she literally does the exact same maneuver. She Force Ghost projects herself across the universe, but here's the difference. In The Last Jedi, Luke does this to save the last embers of the rebellion. His sacrifice matters. In Rise of Skywalker, Leia does this so that she can momentarily distract Kylo Ren so that he can get stabbed and then not die. And then she's dead. And the movie treats this, you know, with all this somber, you know, just, oh my god, she's gone. And it's like, I get it. The actress died. We lost Carrie Fisher, sadly. And so whatever the original concept was, obviously they couldn't do it because all they had was outtake footage, which I did not think was very elegantly incorporated. It never felt like she was actually in those scenes talking to the other actors. Maybe you just can't unknow that. But in any case, they literally do the exact same thing to Leia that Rian Johnson did to Luke, and I'm not hearing any butthurt from anyone. So clearly this is the way you fan service that exact same plot point in a way that doesn't piss off the fans. Or at least those vocal fans. Because like I say, I haven't heard a single complaint from anybody about what this movie does to Leia, which to me is exactly the same thing, only like way less meaningful. But anyway, so bottom line yes, I very much, as a fan, I hew to the Rian Johnson approach. And he said this in an interview not too long ago. He said, you know, he's a huge fan of the series too, and as a fan, he doesn't want his expectations to be met. He said, I'm paraphrasing the hell out of what he said, but it was basically, don't just show me what I think I want and nothing else. Because at the end of the day, I'll be like, okay, that was nice, I guess. And then you promptly start forgetting about it because it was really just fan service. It was just a commercial for itself at that point. It wasn't taking any new risks. It wasn't blazing any new trails. He said, what I want any story, but particularly with something that I'm a fan of, to do is pull the rug out from under me a bit and take me to new places. And I'm thinking, God, yes, Star Wars is the hugest sandbox. It's literally a universe. You can tell any story in that universe. So many characters and worlds that we haven't seen. What do we get in Rise of Skywalker? The 14th damn desert planet. Okay, because they didn't want it to be Tatooine yet. So, you know, again, it's just like, I don't want Star Wars to just be a bunch of reminders of how much I liked it when I was a kid. It's almost like Abrams doesn't seem to think there are any new stories to tell in Star Wars. It's just shout-outs to the original stuff and nothing else. And the one guy who came along and tried to do a new story seemed to have been promptly shouted out of the building and then had his thing swept under the rug like it didn't matter. So I am not okay with that, personally, as a fan of Star Wars. And so I'm really, really hoping, all right, Disney, you got our billions, and we've closed out. This is it. Skywalker's done. Can we please, for the love of God, just get a new story? I don't need to see more shout. I don't want to see the next one directed by JJ Abrams, and the opening shot is a guy turning around and it's Boba Fett, and he just winks at the camera or some shit. Please stop just reminding me of how much I liked it as a kid. I get it. I did, but I'm ready for some new stuff. Please surprise me. Anyway, that's my take on the new Rise of Skywalker. I will not be buying the Blu-ray. Anyway.
Oh, I didn't like how they were butthurt about the actress who plays Rose Tico.
They were brutal to her.
They were mean to an actress who's in a movie. It's like, guys, really?
It's like, I mean, I'm not even sure what the problem was supposed to be. It's they
didn't even include her in this movie, really. She's only
and that's another thing that, again, Abrams very pointedly and I think very crassly essentially wrote her out of the movie. There was no reason for her to be sidelined, but they're just like, okay, all the new characters, we're going to go off on this adventure. Not you, Rose, you stay here. And she's like, okay. And then they go off, and then she shows up for, like, in the background of a couple scenes and doesn't really do anything important. And it's like, again, to me, that's a very backhanded thing to do.
Although at the Star Wars event thing, he did thank Rian Johnson for coming up with the character, but then didn't give her anything.
But yeah, clearly he didn't like that character or have anything to do with her. So.
And Finn was also not royalty. It was good that Finn did not. Finn didn't end up being Lando's kid or anything.
Only because they ran out of time. I swear to God, if
Lando's grandkid.
If JJ Abrams did a Harry Potter movie, half of it would be exposition explaining to you that the whole reason Harry Potter is a special kid and has magic is because he's, Voldemort's grandfather was a Potter. Ooh. Now it makes sense, and we referenced the thing that you've heard of already. That's just as good as actually telling you a story. It's like, no, you can't just plug in fan service and say that that's as good as telling me a story.
Remember Abrams did a bunch of the Mission Impossible movies?
I think he did the third one. I don't remember.
And I think his company did like 2, 3, and 4 or something. And they were all kind of similar. All the Mission Impossible movies kind of have that same problem. We're reminding you of how Mission Impossible worked and that's going on, and Tom Cruise.
He signs on board to franchises and then just services the hell out of them instead of taking any real risks.
The newer ones where they went off, they got the crew back and they did like something different, and they had him have a posse with him. It was closer to the show than what they were doing. And then there's Lost, which ended with a ridiculous sideways ending.
This is why mystery boxing is not necessarily the way to go.
Because the fans guessed how Lost ended. They guessed it was the incident at Owl Creek Bridge. That's what they guessed. They're all like, okay, this is going to end with them careening through space and then like falling down to Earth, and that's the end of the movie. It was all in his head. He was dead. That was the plot. Everybody figured it out. So they're, no, it was a sideways universe. You didn't figure it out.
Yeah, and it's like, you won't... They were very adamant. They're like, whatever you think the ending of Lost is going to be, you're wrong. So the only way they could get around that was to come up with an ending that straight up did not make sense. And that's what Abrams did with Rise of Skywalker, because Palpatine does not make sense. He's only in there as a placeholder because you've heard of him. And then they don't have to spend any time actually with any build-up or character or plot or an arc or anything. It's just, no, there. See, that's just as good. There he is. You've already heard of him.
It could have been worse. There were two leaked scripts.
Oh.
One of them was a leaked script in which Rey turned out to be a droid. And she was a robot. And it was all like a plot by clones of the evil Emperor guy to she was a droid. And it was really, really dumb. And it was obviously fanficky.
I was going to say, is that canon?
The other one was even more nuts. It was a sideways ending version one. In which the part where there's the evil Rey and the evil 3PO and stuff. In the other version...
Oh, yeah.
In the other version... which is probably closer to the one that they altered from the script. This is probably closer to accurate. In the other version, time travel.
Oh, God.
So about halfway through, they're fighting the Palpatine guy and whatever, she goes back into time. Because they said 1,000 generations are within you. She goes back into time, gets trapped in the past, and becomes Simi Skywalker. Leading to the entire lineage of the...
God, talk about an incestuous feedback loop. I mean, the thing is, that's probably just somebody's fanfic, but it sounds like something Abrams would have done. I mean,
oh my God,
it's
terrible.
Yeah, if all you wanted
that would have been worse.
Was, plot twists that trade on your foreknowledge of
time travel. Stuff. With evil clones of them running around, and they had to fight them.
I mean, for all the sense that it makes, they might as well have just done that. I mean,
what the fuck is going on in this movie? Have you seen the Red Letter Media? They spent an hour ripping the movie.
No, I haven't.
It's great.
But I mean, it's just as a fan, I found it colossally underwhelming and disappointing. It's just like you had all the resources in the universe, the biggest talent on board and all this great stuff, and it's just like, what are you going to do with that? And all they did was give me a commercial for the franchise. That's all it feels like to me. It's just this shout out to itself. Ooh, Star Wars, you like that, you care about that. But it's like, you know why we loved the original Star Wars trilogy when we were kids? Not because it was Star Wars and that automatically made it good or interesting, because they were good movies. We loved them because they were good, they were fun. They spoke to us, they told us interesting stories with fun characters. These new movies don't do that. They just plug in stuff you've already heard of.
Weak, but yeah.
Well, honestly, Solo was better than
Little
Skywalker.
Rogue One was...
Yeah.
I like Rogue One.
Again, though, both Solo and Rogue One...
The Mandalorian thing is good, but I haven't seen any of it.
Those were also just nostalgia-baiting fan service. And I get that seems to be the road that Disney's taking. I just wish they wouldn't. I wish they would let more people like Rain Johnson come on board who are excited to tell new stories and not just rehash the same action figure sandbox battles with the same characters and the same stories over and over and over again and just assume that that's good enough because it's Star Wars. So, yeah, like you say, though...
Go on.
I was just going to say, but The Mandalorian, I haven't seen, and the buzz on that is that it's actually really good. I haven't seen it, but it's at least it does look like they're telling a different story, and it looks like they're broadening the sandbox walls a little bit and telling new stories and going to new places. And so it's like, you know what?
So it's not Boba Fett. It's like
fortunately it's not Boba Fett, but it's like, all right, you know what? I'm way more interested in that. Again, I haven't seen it, but that sounds like more what I want Star Wars to be. Tell me new stuff. It doesn't mean you never reference or talk about the legacy of what came before it. It's just not everything should absolutely hinge on it or else. It's just, God, I really don't think Abrams was the right guy for this.
Even though initially we said Abrams should be the guy doing Star Wars because he's better at that than Star Trek.
He was more in his comfort zone, but unfortunately now I'm pretty convinced that what his comfort zone is fan service. And that's it. There's not even good fan service. Look what he did to Into Darkness. That movie sucked. Sorry, but it did.
Bring back Khan and not explain it and have switch the Spock and Kirk scene around, even though it's supposed to be like 15 years later and they're supposed to be middle-aged.
The audience laughed.
They ruined that. Although these Disney live-action movies that are coming out, the fans are beginning to be less and less. I was in a packed audience for the Discovery today because it's the day after Christmas. Packed audience watching the movie again, and they showed this Milan trailer, and the audience was silent.
Yeah,
they did not react. They didn't react with anything, even jeers. They're just like, "What am I?"
Yeah, I think part of the problem there is
what am I looking at?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it. The one thing about the Mulan trailer that's kind of interesting is that the villains are different this time around. So it's like, all right, maybe they're doing something a little different.
Supposed to be the Huns, aren't there? Or something?
Well, originally in the animated movie, but I don't know. I'm kind of wondering at this point.
Maybe they're Japanese and they're geishas.
I'm just wondering if maybe people aren't getting a little fatigued of this endless cranking out of live action versions of Disney movies.
And although that one guy, was it Favreau or one of them, did do the Lion King remake.
He did it, and it was shot for shot, basically the same movie, just with no charm.
That's going to get it's got an Oscar nod, and it's like it doesn't necessarily deserve it. I mean, yeah, whoever animated this, yeah, I guess it kind of does for visuals, but it's banal.
It's just
the whole movie was like flat.
At what point is it not even its own movie?
Like kitty cats.
Yeah, it's so they're like they're emoting. It's like Simba, no, this is really exciting and important, but it's just like this
their eyes aren't
blank
doing
cat face saying that, so there's no emotion.
You can't tell Scar from Mufasa except one of them's skinnier than the other.
So it's just kind of like at what point, if it's so slavish of a remake, that it can't really stand on its own, it's like, is it even its own movie? Is it even a movie at this point?
I even saw the Aladdin one.
I did not.
The Will Smith Aladdin one as well. although Will Smith plays Will Smith, you're never once convinced he's a genie. He's Will Smith.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem.
Well,
It's
the problem is, I mean, if you're
a
going to
little bit
replicate,
biased to Robin Williams.
you can never replicate what Williams did with that part. So I think to their credit, maybe they just thought, well, we won't even try.
Well, they tried. They tried real hard.
Well, kind of, but like clearly, Will Smith isn't trying to just play Robin Williams. He's doing Will Smith from the scenes that I've seen. So I mean, maybe they just sort of recognize, like, all right, we can't do that over again because there was only
There's this weird song that comes out of nowhere where this girl is singing about like empowered women, and although that's fine to have an empowered women thing, it wouldn't be in 7th century Arabia, but it's fine in a Disney movie.
There wouldn't be flying carpets either, so
that's all right. But what's weird is the song didn't fit in that universe. It belonged in Frozen or something else.
Yeah,
it didn't work. And she like wishes the guards away in the song, and it's like, what is going? She has powers now. She's a genie as well. What's going on here? I don't. It just didn't make sense.
You know what it is? It's because the genie was actually your father. That's how come she has genie powers. Now it makes sense.
She didn't really have genie powers.
And then she busts out a lightsaber and ooh.
Now that'd be kind of funny, actually. But
yeah,
no.
It's just like God.
No, I'm okay with the girl power stuff.
I get that Disney is like basically just got a license to print money doing this kind of stuff. It's just
give us some of that money.
At what point
you think we're shills on my channel?
Nostalgia run out of gas? Because if all you're ever going to do is just reboot the old school stuff from everybody's childhoods and never provide any new stories or new wonderment or fantasies or fairy tales, at what point do you just run out? Like, are they just going to now the live action reboot of the live action The Lion King in 10 years? You know, this time their eye colors are different, or it's just going to get to a point where it's like, could you just tell us a new story, please?
Maleficent sequels. I haven't seen any of them.
I got through the first Maleficent. That was enough.
I liked the Pete's Dragon one. That was alright.
Yeah, there was an example where it was like, all right, they took the basic premise, but they told their own story, and it did have Carl Urban in it.
I also liked their live action Jungle Book remake from a while back.
Oh yeah, see now that at least did some more different things with the story.
Different, and they had
it wasn't just a shot for shot remake.
Walken, I think it was as
Christopher Walken as King Louis, which
was awesome.
Actually, pretty interesting.
That was great.
So that movie,
Giantopithecus.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, they can do these things like and have them turn out interesting, but it means taking risks. It means not just doing pure. Let's remind you of something you already know about.
Beauty and the Beast live action movie.
Did not see that one.
Yeah, they could have the cartoon. Yeah, it's not Emma Watson's fault that she isn't Celine Dion.
No, I don't blame the actors for these things at all.
No, it's like
it's always the people telling the story.
It's just like
failing to take
and
risks.
People freaking out because there might have been a suggestive gay character in there. Oh, I'm butthurt about that.
Oh my god! People were like furious.
Did you see the original cartoon? Clearly, LeFou is gay for Gaston. I mean, right there.
Not only that, but look at like Timon and Pumbaa and tell me they're not a devoted gay couple.
They totally are.
They were doing that in the 90s. They actually, for as much butthurt as people got about the Beauty and the Beast, which again, in that scene, it's almost like a quickie little you blink and you'll miss it sight gag as much as anything. There are gay characters in Zootopia. They snuck it in. You have to read the credits to get that these two Judy's neighbors, who are different species, have the same hyphenated last name. And somebody asked the director about that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, they're a gay married couple, totally." But they had to be that stealthy about it, probably just because of all the butthurt about Beauty and the Beast. But it's like, all right, so they have actually gone there. So hopefully, maybe moving forward, it becomes less of a thing. There is actually a gay kiss in Star Wars. I will give Abrams and company credit for that much, at least.
Very good. But what it should have been is Poe and Finn sucker
A lot of people said that, including the actors. I think they might have been kidding a little bit.
That should have, yeah, we're kidding, but
maybe they weren't.
That should have been the twist that Poe wanted. That should have been the twist that they dropped.
I never told you, Ray. I never loved you. I love Poe.
That would have been
and then
awesome.
And just Poe going, I knew it. And disappearing.
Exactly. And instead of the uncomfortable Kylo and Ray kiss and he disappears, it's an uncomfortable Poe and Finn, and they're like...
Except they're not uncomfortable. They'd just be like, oh, I thought you'd never ask.
And that's the reason that Rose doesn't, You know, because she's like, well, you're not into me, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, my
Sailor.
God, they retconned the hell out of her, but then they threw in this new girlfriend character for Finn.
For him to, yeah.
It's
And
like-
that other, oh, did you
oh,
catch
and then Poe gets the Power Ranger, who like shows
you
up.
know
with
what that
the-
is? That's a chick from Felicity.
Is it?
It is.
Oh, I didn't even.
So Abrams threw his friend from the show,
he
Felicity,
did.
in there, and he said, it was funny is the Red Letter Media guys were talking about that, and they're all like, I bet what they did in this one, I'm going to do like a Plinkett voice, I bet what they did in this one is they figured, so we want to put you in the movie, but we want to give you the littlest screen time as possible. So we're just going to show your eyes for like a minute.
It's mostly going to be a stunt.
And it's mostly a stunt double the whole time. Just all, how much, and you're going to get paid a lot just to appear a little bit. Here you go. That's probably what happened.
Uh-huh. That also does not count as a creative risk.
When
Abrams.
Felicity, yeah, if Angel and Felicity, and yeah, it would have been Angel. That would have been
That's Whedon.
Whedon, yeah, Felicity.
But
It was
yeah,
a chick
it's,
from- it was a- what? What did you do in there?
it's just, yeah, I hope that they've gotten this out of their system. I really, really hope, because if I see written and directed by JJ Abrams on any more Star Wars, I'm staying home. Because I don't need any more wanky fan service reminding me of my childhood. I'm ready for a new story at this point.
And it warns you about like lens flares and.
He
stuff
did dial
on
it back
the
on the
screen.
lens flares, but they did have an epilepsy warning.
An epilepsy warning.
Apparently, Kylo's sparkly lightsaber was so intense that it was giving some people seizures.